so we would have been 10 or 11. We saw it together in theaters at least once.
At least once. I can tell you that I saw Fellowship in theaters 6 times.
No. How do you remember that?
I don't know. It's just like I remember it was 6 very specifically. I don't know how many times I saw the other ones, but I saw Fellowship 6 times somehow. Who took me to the movie 6 times to see that?
Probably Frank.
It's terrible.
That's so, yeah, it's hard for me because I don't remember the first time I saw it. And I just know that I loved it. I know that I went to see it at least once in theaters, all of them. Definitely like multiple times. I was probably more of like a two of each.
Like a reasonable number? Yeah. That's really fair.
Yeah. And I don't remember except for The Return of the King. I have this like weird memory of us at our friend's house getting ready to go. And that, I don't know why. And then I just remember parts of the movie. I remember wondering when it was going to end. Because The Return of the King has so many fade to blacks.
And you know, that's fewer endings than they have in the book. There's like a whole ending section after all of that. In the book, they don't even cover.
Okay, so you've read the books. I have not.
I have. I have read them twice.
Twice?
And once right around when the movies came out. And I was way too young to enjoy them then. And then a couple of years ago, I listened to the audiobooks. And I gotta be honest, prefer the movies.
Okay, I think this is a very interesting book versus movie one, because obviously the book is the story. It would not be like the amazing film that it was without the book. But I don't hear many people being like, oh, I just love the book. Like, I feel like the true comfort lies in the movies for a lot of people.
Yes, there is either I love the movies, that's where my comfort lies, and part of like the pop lexicon, or there is the I love the books, I've read all of the appendices, I know way too many facts about this thing, like it has become my life, like, and there's nothing in between.
That's true. And those people are probably going to know our podcast.
And
at
they're
least
like,
the episodes about Lord of the Rings.
And I'm in awe of those people. They're
Absolutely.
like Tolkien scholars.
Yes.
Like, it is amazing, and we all know so much more because of it. And there are people like that contributed to the movies we have today, and I'm so thankful for that.
Oh my gosh, I love those people. I'm not one of them, and I am now 34, and have not read the books. I too made the mistake of, after seeing the movies at ages 11, 12, and 13, thinking that I could pick up that book and crush it. No way. I tried several times, did not make it through probably 10 pages.
They're so long and descriptive, and beautiful writing. And we needed that writing, obviously, because one of my favorite things about the movies is the language that they use, like in the script, which so much of it is pulled right from the book. It's gorgeous language. Like, nobody talks like that in movies. It's amazing.
I just got like my first chill of the podcast. But it's so true. There are lines that I didn't know that were pulled directly from his writing, but I've read so many quotes from him, and his writing is just incredibly beautiful. And even though I have not read the book yet, I still have the intention to. I will read it in my lifetime.
I believe in you.
And the funny thing is, I still own, like, I went to Barnes & Noble after watching the movies, and I was like, I'm going to buy. I bought it all in. It's a 3. I should have pulled it out to show you.
Are they the versions that have the movie characters on the front, like the short little squat versions?
Okay, so no, it's the thick all-in-one 3 for 1, right? I couldn't even hold it up. And it has ring wraith, like, on the horse on the cover. It's so cool.
That is amazing. But I feel like that's even more intimidating to try to read. Like,
yeah, I still am like, I think Chris bought the 3-book set, and I was like, great. I won't read my little antique circa like 2003 copy, I'll read one at a time because holding a book that large is like uncomfortable for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine actually enjoying that experience. Like, that's a coffee table book. That's it.
Oh yeah. I'm so glad that I kept it. 'Cause to me, it's like a collector's item and it shows my commitment to wanting to read it. I've held on to it for 20 years. I've moved over like 20 times between when I've had that book. The fact that it has stuck with me is actually astounding. I don't think
I'm
anything else from that
impressed.
age has stuck around.
Someday you'll read it. Maybe like 3 pages at a time. It is slow. I will say, The Hobbit, I enjoyed the book much more than the other
Okay,
books.
so I bought The Hobbit too because you've told me this before. And I even bought the version with pictures, beautiful drawings. It has like this nice green cover, has some pictures in it. I started reading it to Jed, who is
Oh my
now,
gosh.
yeah, now he won't sit still enough to read, but when he was little and he just laid there and was snoozy, I was like, I'll read to my baby. And I thought it was really fun. And the story is, it zips right along in comparison.
Yes.
We haven't gotten too far, but I actually find it very challenging to read aloud.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
I
could
mean, I'm
believe
sure you've
it.
never tried, but the words are like so lyrical and those sentences are so long and they're not structured
And
at
there's a
all.
bunch of songs in it
Yeah.
as well that like
Yeah,
you
which
gotta do something with.
I do perform for Jed. So we're working our way through, but that kind of reminded me I need to try to get back into that because I feel like he's going to go through this phase where he's like so busy he won't sit still for us to read together that I just kind of like show him a book and I'm like, hey, we're reading, and he's like running,
Yeah.
like, cruising around the room. But I feel like there'll become a time where we can have like a nice bedtime ritual, like I'll
Yes.
envision like a little like cute little cuddle before bed, read a few pages,
Mhm.
and then we'll have to read it again when he can actually like remember and understand.
Yeah, it's like a multi-phase approach, and probably never Lord of the Rings. He may attempt
No,
that on his own someday. That's what the movies are
absolutely.
for.
If he reads it, he'll probably end up reading it before me.
I would love that. That would be poetic in
Yeah,
its own way.
that would be really funny. And then I'd be like, you know what? For that reason, I'm just not going to read it.
Yes.
I'm done. I'm done. If Chris, my husband, reads it before me, then that will be like the shock of a lifetime because Chris reads on average like one book every 5 years, maybe.
Well, he could read this as his one for the
It
next
could
5 years.
be.
Just Fellowship of the Ring. Just take the 5 years to do
And I
it.
feel like that would be an appropriate pace for those
Yes.
books.
They're really intense. Beautiful writing. Really intense.
We love them. We would never. I have nothing bad to say about J.R.R. Tolkien, although I did see something kind of funny on the internet the other day that was like, I'm just really grateful that he wasn't around in the time of Twitter, like, just in case. But anyway, we're here. This is our podcast.
There is a point to this, we promise.
Yeah, this is comfort culture. I almost forgot the name for a second there. I was like, culture comfort.
It's brand new. It's fine.
It's still. I started saying comfort culture on our little announcement segment episode, and I was like, oh, I don't know if this name was a mistake because I actually struggle to say it a little bit. Comfort culture.
Comfort culture. It does not roll off the tongue.
But I like the way it looks visually, and I think it sums up what we're here to do, which is to discuss comfort media, particularly for us millennial women, but we welcome all kinds to this podcast.
You do not have to be an anxious millennial cat lady to join us, but you will be listening to two such people on this podcast.
Yes. We are two anxious millennial cat ladies. I was really gearing up for my joke that my cat is in fact a dog.
She's so cute. She's tiny. She's smaller than both of my cats, so this is really fair.
Yeah, me and my dog are actually like in a fight right now.
No, what did Cindy do?
Well, the same stuff as always. She just, when winter comes around, she decides that the house is a great place to poop, which your cats
Oh,
do, but they have a litter box.
this is true. This is very true. It's very different.
Yeah, Cinnamon really functions as a cat. She looks like one. She mostly just wants to sleep. She's pretty independent, wants to snuggle sometimes, wants to give you like attitude and kind of like go upstairs to her room other times. But yeah, she's not litter box trained. That would have been
Would be good. That sounds
that would have
rough.
been great.
You
That
got
would have
some
been
serious
great.
winter there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I try to be, I don't know, like forgiving because she went to the shelter twice, but
Yeah.
she was brought back to the shelter the second time for repeatedly pooping in their house.
Cinnamon.
And I was like, you know what? She was a year and a half old, and I was like, I'm gonna train her up good. And you know, it just like I just was like, they just didn't give her enough time. She's 9 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
She's gotten
just a
better.
hobby. It's just what she wants to do.
She's gotten better, but you know, alas.
Well, she's adorable. I love her, and I think it is 100% fair to call her a cat.
Yeah.
Totally.
Also, aside from her, like I feel like I energetically am a cat lady.
Which is very new in your life. And
Yeah.
and thanks in part to one of my wonderful cats. I'm going to claim a lot of credit there.
That's true. That's true. I actually did not like cats for most of my life. I am allergic, and I know that I feel like people say that as an excuse to be I don't want to be near your cat, and just like don't want to say like I don't like cats. They're just like I'm allergic, but like I was tested. I'm allergic.
Yes.
It's not severe, luckily. But we had a friend growing up who had, was it 27 cats?
I had the number 23 in my head. It could easily be
Okay.
27. It was so
I feel like it
many.
fluctuated. It
Yeah.
was too many. And
When you have 20 some cats, I think it does. I think it
Yes.
fluctuates. That's what happens.
that's yeah, true. True. And they were in the house, all of them. That was just a lot of cats. And I actually like I don't remember being bothered by it except for the one named Gabi.
Was that the deaf one that used to scream in the middle of the night? Like the most
Yes.
terrifying noises?
Yes. So our friend would be like, the cat is haunted, and she would just lurk in the shadows and then let out this horrible scream, and she looked creepy. You could tell that like she had, respectfully, like some eye problems. I don't mean to
Yeah.
say that like that makes you look creepy, but I think it was like just her whole persona.
Yes.
It really, oh yeah, there's a cat in the background.
There
right now.
is. I set up I have my little podcast set up with the cat tree specifically.
That's perfect. That is
Have we told our listeners yet that we are childhood best friends? I don't remember. Genuinely.
Not out loud here, but
Great.
I think maybe
They figured it out
somewhere.
already.
I think if they happen to find our podcast description that I worked for an entire day on, and I still think it's terrible, but
I love
we
it.
have been friends forever, much like from far beyond what I can remember.
I mean, coming up on like 30 years now.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
That's so long. I have no idea when we met, like why we became friends.
Nope.
No idea. No idea. So
no
it's been so
recollection.
long that I literally like do not remember our origin story. I'm thinking now why we were probably friends, because like geographically we live
Yeah.
close to each other, and like nobody else lived
On the
there.
outskirts of town. Yeah. We lived in the
Yeah.
middle of the woods.
Yeah. And then when you like sum up our friendship and what we had in common and what we like continue to have in common, that's like pretty much
Yeah. It's like almost
Pretty much.
nothing.
Yeah. And we just like clung on. And
Yeah.
we're like, we're here for it.
Which
This
is
is it, baby.
how we came up with the theme of this podcast. You said you were reflecting on what we had in common, and it is
Yeah.
basically we like to be cozy.
Yes.
We
Yes. I was like Lord of the Rings, and I'm thinking like blankets, warm drinks,
Yes.
that we're like trying to enter our grandma era in our 30s.
Very much so. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. That was all I came up with.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything more important. I am drinking warm tea out of a mug that you got me. It says Lord of the Cats, the Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh my God, I forgot about the fellowship part.
Nothing is more perfect than this mug for this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like foreshadowing for what was to come. Maybe I had the
Yes.
idea all along and I was like, you know what? Medical history is out.
Yeah.
Cozy cat culture, Lord of the Rings discussion is in.
It's perfect. Someday we'll have to do a Which Lord of the Rings characters are our cats.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really good. Except for that they're all just like Merry and Pippin.
Yes. I don't know.
We'll have to see.
My Buffy has a little evil streak.
Oh, I've kind of got like a little bit of a Saruman vibe.
Yeah.
Is that too harsh?
I told her that. Well, Saruman feels right, looks included. And
right.
I tell her all the time she looks like her eyes are the eyes of Sauron. So she's always up to a little bit of no good.
Okay, you're smarter than me. I feel safe saying. But growing up, did you find that you had trouble distinguishing for a little while between Sauron and Saruman and kind of thought they were the same?
Like, why were those names that way? Also, by the way, listeners, Ashley was valedictorian of our high school class. Yes, I absolutely did. And I'm sure it was one reason why I struggled through the books also. It's very, very similar names. It doesn't.
I know. I think watching the movies, I'm not sure when, but for some time, I just assumed that Sauron and Saruman were the same and that it was just like some sort of entity, I don't know, like some sort of other way that Saruman could like control people was through the tower and the eye. I did not know that that was like this whole other being.
Right. And it has, I mean, we've both watched these movies dozens and dozens of times. And like it took dozens of times for me to maybe fully understand the distinction because Sauron is so conceptual. Right. Like he doesn't, he's got like a line in Fellowship of the Ring when he's talking to Saruman through the Palantir, the little orb thing. Yeah.
Sure.
But otherwise, he's just like an idea.
That's so true. And you just like evil incarnate. I think that's like one of the things that I love so much about the movies in general is that he's just this like intangible, like just pure evil. There's no really like full shape to him. I didn't watch the extended versions of the movies for many years. It's been like recent. I didn't know that they existed for a long time somehow. And yeah. Anyway, and then I don't know. I guess I just never felt super compelled. I just was so satisfied with the original. And then I watched the extended, and a lot of the scenes I felt like were good, a good editing hand.
Yeah. Oh, very much.
But I also enjoyed that, like, now we're just making this an even longer experience. That was fine with me. Just being like, you know what? 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 4 hours.
Who cares?
It's great.
At that point.
The one scene, there are probably a couple scenes, but the one scene that I'm thinking of that I really liked was the mouth of Sauron. I was like, why?
Agree.
How did this not make it? I guess it would have probably confused me more. And I think maybe would have been like a little too metal for me at age 10.
But it is really
13.
cool. But it also then takes away from what you're talking about with like, it's just evil incarnate. This like overarching everywhere thing. And it boils it down to this like vaguely man-shaped and sized creature. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it probably, I mean, I think personally the movies are pretty perfect the way that they are. But I think as an adult watching that, I was like, okay, this is really cool. And I loved just in general the, it's called like makeup that they like for the orcs and Orcai and just like the having them not be CGI. And
Oh
they're
my gosh, there's just so many
incredible.
practical effects.
That's, I think, yeah, that also is why it just looks so real. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing that I really liked about the movies was that the bad guys, which there are many, goblins, orcs, Urukai, like they're all just have this human but also not human quality to them, which I
Mm-hmm.
feel like makes it less violent in a way. Like the films aren't overtly violent, but it's just doesn't feel like any of that like brother against brother kind of energy.
Right.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
there's not even blood
Yeah.
like any of the movie.
No, with the exception of some really well done characters who are kind of in a gray area or torn between two things, outside of that, which I will talk about. I have so many thoughts on that. But outside of that, it's just really black and white, like good versus evil, which I think is one of the things that is so comforting about it.
Yeah, I agree. There's not a lot of gray characters except for like Boromir, which
Mm-hmm.
we will
Mm-hmm.
talk in detail about him. We're going to do an entire episode on just Boromir for sure because
Deserves an entire episode.
he was just a bad man to me growing up.
Yep.
He was just bad boy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
And it all changed, probably
Totally.
on watch like 26 or 27. It started to click.
Yeah, so much started to click. Which brings me to this little icebreaker that I wanted to do because I'll tell you. So I think we each have two for this question, which was who is your biggest celebrity crush growing up? One of mine was Faramir. You
Yes,
knew this about
I
me.
did, but it
Yeah.
it just tickles me every
Uh,
time.
okay, so he's not great. Well, he's good. He's a good character,
Yeah.
attractive. Um, to me growing up, I was in love. I was in love. There weren't many. I was busy. Like I had other goals. I had other priorities. I was not boy crazy. I was crazy for Faramir. I printed out a photo of him on our little, the little computer we had downstairs. We had a little printer there. I printed out a picture of him. I cropped out Eowyn, and I just had it like
Oh.
tucked in a drawer in my desk for years. Oh, I just was like, we're gonna get married. I think if I had seen the extended edition where they like lean into their romance a little bit more, I think it would have
Mm.
literally crushed me.
Yeah. That I mean,
Ugh.
right in the regular ones, all you get is them
Yeah, they're
suggestively standing next to each
and I
other.
was like, girl,
I love
no,
it. He's such a I mean, he's kind of a minor character in the
yeah,
scope of things. He's
yeah,
not even in the first movie.
right.
And you said that's for me.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't know, maybe that he was like sensitive. He's a very pure character. Well,
Yeah.
I mean he hesitates, but I think he was the like yin to yang of Boromir.
Mm.
Boromir was the darkness, like it got him. Whereas Faramir, he was like, oh, it almost got him, but then he was like, no,
Yeah. And they're
you won't
both
have.
like the darkness for both of them is really just trying to do right by their people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spoil our
Yeah.
full Boromir, maybe also Faramir episode.
Mm-hmm.
To keep talking
Well,
about this.
I mean, you cannot talk about one without the other. And I'm excited in the future to talk more about Denethor because wow,
I mean, the memes alone.
just cherry tomatoes.
Yes.
And one thing I did want to do before we move on is I wanted to set a precedent, which we have not done, about being, really spoiler alert friendly because every single
Oh,
episode is
yes.
going to have like tremendous spoilers for whatever we're talking about. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Lord of the Rings, sorry. Also, like, why?
Yeah. You've had some chances.
Yeah. And in an article that we read that we're going to link to in the show notes about millennial women and like why we love Lord of the Rings so much, it talks about how if you kind of didn't watch it in your younger years and then try to watch it as an adult, typically it doesn't grab you in that same way. I think, it's hard to say. Like, we obviously have no idea if we watched it for the first time in our 30s or
Right.
even 20s, would we feel the same way? Like, definitely we wouldn't have this the same
No.
attachment. I don't think anything in my adult life has stuck with me like
form
that.
a crush on Faramir again?
No, I could have at least. I mean, I'm not embarrassed about it per se, but
You shouldn't be.
watching it as an adult, I'm certainly not attracted to him. He's not for me, which is funny because as an adult woman, Aragorn,
Yes, that is
all the
how.
way.
This is how we
Growing
all
up,
grew up. I mean,
I
you
did not.
You didn't make me confess mine yet, but mine
Oh
was
yeah,
Legolas. I mean,
yeah,
and like
kind of basic.
me and every other sixth grade girl that was
Yeah,
watching Lord of the
yeah.
Rings.
Maybe that's actually making me think. Maybe part of it was like, well, obviously, like I thought Legolas was cute. I've never really been into like super long hair. He was obviously like pretty femme. It's not, not totally my
He was pretty.
He was gorgeous. He is. But I think also part of it was probably I've always been a little bit like I'm cool, like like hipstery, like I'm not gonna like what everybody else likes. I'm like this random side character who like has daddy problems.
So I didn't print out a picture of Legolas to put in my drawer, but I did have a Lord of the Rings 12-month calendar one year, obviously.
I think I remember that.
And I saved whatever month Legolas was, and that was like still hanging up in my childhood bedroom until like a few years ago when I took it down. Like
what did you do with it?
I feel like it's gone now. I feel like it's gone. I know.
I regret that for you.
Me too.
Second regret.
I am confident that Lord of the Rings 12-month calendars are still out there, though. We could find one.
For sure. We should get one. I think at some point maybe we'll make ourselves a little podcast calendar. Our favorite comfort watches.
That would be so good. But yeah, I've interrupted the point of this. It's Aragorn. Then we all grew up, and yeah.
I did not. I guess. I mean, he's supposed to be like a bit older, not as old as I learned he is from watching the extended version.
86 or something, right?
87? I don't remember. In his
mid 80s.
Mid 80s. Sorry, we're super fans. We're new-ish to the extended versions. I'll give us that.
Yeah,
but yeah, I definitely did not. He didn't cross my mind in having crushes as a child. Now I am like swoon. Holy
absolutely.
moly.
And did you know? Okay, so we went from the Faramir and Legolas to Aragorn, and I think that is like accepted by many of these millennial women. But there's like a whole other set that went from those type of characters to Sam.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like sexually attracted to Sam?
Yeah, he's like this like very dependable, sturdy character.
Yeah, he's got like a little bit of a dad bod.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I could get into it. I think the hobbits for me are a little tough because I'm 6 feet tall. Just like, I mean, we could make it work, but yeah, like I don't know where I'm like going with this train of thought, but like I just mean, that's height differential wise.
You're bringing a lot of realism to this conversation.
Yeah, it was real to me. It still is, apparently. I'm like, we got to figure out how we're going to make this work. I don't think I've never heard anyone be like Frodo.
No.
They've got to be out there.
I've never. Yeah. I guess.
Frodo just has a really hard time. He just having a hard time. He's just going through it.
I know. I feel really bad for Frodo.
Yeah, I think we all feel for Frodo and we all feel like Frodo sometimes, but like we don't want Frodo to be our husband.
No, absolutely not. No.
Anyway, what are we
theoretically, things that comfort us.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings. Why do we like it?
Our favorite comfort movie of all time. There's so much to say about it. I think that's what's so hard and why we were not sure if we should start chatting about Lord of the Rings is because I don't even know how to like divvy up talking about it and like why we love it. We're going to put a pause on it for now because Okay, do you have another biggest celebrity crush?
Besides Legolas growing up,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, it was Paul Walker.
Me
Just
too.
hands down Paul Walker.
Oh my gosh. Paul Walker was when I found out I was straight, for sure. Don't
The
remember when.
those baby blue eyes
I know.
that he had like this like smoldering stare. It was kind of the only acting he did.
Yeah, but he
Wasn't a lot of
smoldered for
range, but he
sure.
smoldered.
He did not have a lot of range. Man, yeah, loved him, still do. R.I.P. Paul Walker.
We will have future episodes entirely dedicated to at least one of his movies, at least.
Yeah. I have to say, I don't know if I've ever seen Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious, whatever.
We should probably do that for this podcast. It's real bad, but it's real fun.
I think I've seen it. I know I saw Tokyo Drift in theaters. Why? I don't know, but I thought that guy was really cute. He had like a southern accent or something.
I do not remember who was in Tokyo Drift. I'm also confident that nope, I'm not totally confident. I'm fairly confident Tokyo Drift was the last Fast and Furious movie I saw.
I was going to say it's the last one, but I was like, no.
No, there's like 12 of them. Yeah. It's so intense.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way that I could ever make it through that franchise, but I respect the hustle for sure.
Yeah, you go, Vin Diesel.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so did you know that he auditioned to be Aragorn?
No.
I'm not kidding. This was like a totally unplanned segue. You know, full disclosure, when we did the medical history podcast, I tried very hard to research in depth, fact check, make sure everything was accurate. Am I going to do this for this podcast? Probably not.
No.
I also am not going to try to like, you know, just say like whatever I see on Reddit. So I've really gotten into Reddit lately. I don't know if I'm like angsty. I'm like an angsty 34-year-old. And I'm like, I want to go. I don't know. Somehow Reddit seems like way safer to me than like Instagram comments.
I think there's something comforting to people coalescing around these shared interests, right? That's so much of Reddit. I actually, in preparation for this podcast, subscribed to like 90s kids, and there was like maybe like a comfort watch subreddit, something like that.
Fun. Yeah, that's good. That's a good call.
Yeah.
I haven't subscribed. I don't know how. Anyway, we're gonna move on. But I do find it fun to get like super fan perspective.
Ashley, what is something else about Lord of the Rings that makes it such a good comfort watch to you today as a millennial woman?
So you're gonna say something
serious.
Like, now, then, and forever.
I almost went that direction and I forgot words.
It's easy to do. I think there's two parts to this that are coming up. I think just the portrayal of like masculine and feminine energy and how it just kind of converges in a beautiful way. Like there's strong female characters. There's not many,
no,
but they're there, and they have big roles that are not being a damsel in distress ever.
Not once, and they have some incredible. Of the like most individually powerful moments in the movies. I was rewatching Fellowship in preparation, and everybody knows Return of the King, I am no man, which will give me chills every time I watch it from now until the end of my life. I love it. But watching Fellowship and watching Arwen like speed away from the wraiths and then like get to the river and face them down and take them all. There aren't that many characters that get those like individual moments of taking down the bad guys, and they give them to the two girls in the movie, and I appreciate that.
I know, and I don't think I fully appreciated that growing up, but I think it probably was some really like powerful representation that we didn't even think about at the time. And then like the men, they're just like these beautiful, sensitive, but also like badass, well-rounded,
their
beautiful friendships. Yeah,
they're so tender. Like the number of times they kiss each other on the forehead. Like, I
Oh my
love it.
God.
And with no
So
subtext.
sweet.
It's just a deep friendship, and they're so caring towards each other.
You know what? I've never kissed you on the forehead.
It's so true.
I'm gonna have to now. You're gonna be so uncomfortable. You're not a physical touch person.
I'm not.
I know that about you. I'm kind of one of those weird where I either am or I'm not. I think probably because I have ADHD and I get overstimulated. So it either feels like really good, like I want you to like lay on top of me, or I'm like, I need you to like go in the other room and I need to shut the door and like do not speak to me.
I married into a physical touch family, and I am.
Oh God.
I've been getting used to it for years. Everyone has respected my boundaries very much, and I am.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but I'm trying to lean in. It's a really lovely thing. I'm just,
Is that can you like acquire being physical touch? I guess you have.
I would
good.
say it's something I am more comfortable with, and not something that I need.
Yeah, I'm just like imagining like going to hug you right now, and you're like kind of receding.
We hug when we first see each other, and then at the end of the weekend we hug again. Goodbye.
Yeah, right.
That's what I do with my family. Other families apparently like to express their affection for each other.
They do,
throughout a visit.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean,
it's lovely. It's like really, I love watching it. Also, I love watching people like that interact with one another while I stand over there like all clenched up onto the side.
Like, don't look at me. Don't touch me. Oh man, this is maybe gonna offend some people, but I'm gonna say it. When people come in hot saying like I'm a hugger, like trying to hug you, I'm like I wanted to start saying, which in a different phase of my life I probably would have done, because I was like, okay, being more of a jerk, but I probably would have just been like, I'm not a hugger. Like, no.
I love that. I'd love to know what a self-identified hugger says to that.
Right. Because they always say that as if it's like it's them giving consent like onto me. Like, I'm a hugger, so we're gonna do this. And I'm like, I'm not a hugger. Get away from me.
No, thank you.
I don't know. Like I said, it totally depends on the moment you catch me.
Well, maybe this is our takeaway from Lord of the Rings, that physical touch can be lovely, very affectionate.
I totally agree with you. I think there's something that's so sweet about witnessing that, and I think just the way that they do it in the movies is so just genuine. I think the friendship between Frodo and Sam is just the sweetest thing, and I can totally see why people now watching it would be so into Sam, because my gosh, he just
is loyal,
so loyal, and so kind to everyone. But Smeagol, understandable.
I get why that was hard, because he's so loyal to Frodo.
Exactly, which also, like, I don't know, in the book, is that I know that there's age differences, and he truly is like his gardener. But is that like fleshed out a little bit as to like why? Is that just who he is as a person? Like, why is he so loyal to Frodo that he's like willing to repeatedly put his life on the line and go like above and beyond for him?
You are assuming that I took more out of those books than I did, but I do believe there is like much more backstory.
Yeah. I mean, to everything. I'm sure someone else has like a really articulate answer to that, but no matter what, like I buy it.
Absolutely.
You know, it feels very real. It feels very easy to believe. And I think that just with the Fellowship in general is something I loved. Like, the Fellowship was not my favorite movie growing up. I loved The Two Towers because of like all of the action and you know, the epic save at the end. You know, like it really like follows that hero's journey to a T. But I love The Fellowship is my favorite now. I think because of the quest and just like the fellowship being together in general and like forming that bond.
Totally agree with you on fellowship. Now, I've been thinking about like some of the scenes before they go into Moria where they're like kind of bonding a little bit. And there's that scene where Boromir is like fighting with Merry and Pippin, which is always something I return to in my head when I'm like, how did I ever think this was a bad guy? Like,
I know
he's torn, but and like they're bonding, they're having fun, they're on this quest. I love that. Plus, the landscapes in those scenes are unreal.
Yeah, I totally agree. One thing I will say about Boromir, though, that he does do in that scene and others is he definitely like infantilizes the hobbits and treats them like children, which I know is like a common treatment because they just look visually like children.
Yeah,
he's always like patting them on the head and like just picking them up and carrying them because they're
and
small.
Pippin do kind of
very
act like
childlike.
children.
That is so true.
Yeah.
But no, I do love those moments too. And I think even Merry and Pippin were two characters that I thought were just like fun, but I kind of was like, why are you here? When I was younger, like they were just like comic relief. And I was like, this isn't believable. Like, why would you bring them? But I love that like now I can see that like even they have these like nice little character arcs and heroic acts or just ways that, you know, without them being there, like everything wouldn't have unfolded the way that it did.
Absolutely. Every character is really important to the story in some way. Like there's no extra, there's no fluff.
Yes. It's like I always viewed it as like Frodo's hero journey with all of these supporting characters, like the fellowship there to help him do this. And then when you watch it a zillion times, it's the technical number of watches, then you see that every single one of them has this thing that they're trying to get kind of out of it, and like this evolution that they go throughout the film.
Yes.
Which for Sam was just getting the courage to ask a girl out. or
Rosie Cotton.
Kiss Rosie. One of the things that Chris says, I don't know how it comes up, but the line where he's like, it would have been her. You know, he's like sad and they think that they're gonna die. Would have been her.
Oh, it's so good.
So good. Sam. Love Sam.
Right? He is great. Sam is great.
He's cozy. He's very cozy.
Sam kind of epitomizes a lot about this podcast, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we had to pick like a mascot from the Fellowship for a podcast, it would definitely be him. Like runner-up Bilbo, I think.
Oh yeah, like a little mischievous too. Yeah.
This just, this wasn't his story, but he was there.
Yeah, I know. He's great.
Oh, he's so great.
About this.
What is the most Hobbit thing about you, Sarah?
It's hard to choose because there are so many. And when asked, and I feel like we had this conversation maybe the first time I ever met Chris, which Lord of the Rings character would you be?
Oh yeah,
that was like grilling him. I think I may have terrified him a little bit the first time.
He was okay.
And my answer is always just a hobbit, like a hobbit, just not one of the named hobbits, just a hobbit. So the most hobbit-like thing about me, if I want to speak like broadly, would be my not just love of being cozy, but like I think that is my purpose, is to find contentment and coziness.
Oh my God. I love that. I'm so glad we're here. So glad we're here. I'm like a reformed horror movie watcher. So yeah, I'm still leaning into the being cozy and watching things that comfort me and don't traumatize my already traumatized nervous system. But, we'll talk about comfort horror another
We will.
day.
We'll get there. Well, what is the most Hobbit-like thing about you?
Yeah, so I plotted this question, so luckily I thought about it because you do a great job answering questions on the spot. Me, not so much. But I would definitely say that hate the second breakfast, just the way that they eat. I don't eat as much in terms of the volume of the meals. I definitely don't like drink ale or I don't smoke a pipe. I could see myself like leaning into that someday, but I have asthma. I don't know what to do myself. There's no way I'm gonna start smoking a pipe. The second breakfast thing is actually something that I frequently do because I usually get up early and I have like a little something basically just so that I can like have a coffee and not be drinking coffee on an empty stomach. And then a little later, I'll get the baby up, get everything situated. He'll go down for his nap. And then I have a nice like mid-morning second breakfast. So good.
I love this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll usually make that one, depending on the day, like a little bit more special, basically just like bake eggs or something. But, yeah.
Something you have to make.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not just having like a scoop of yogurt for my first breakfast.
Oh, that is amazing. I love their love of food. In my recent rewatch, I was just noticing even that first scene with Bilbo and Gandalf. Bilbo offers Gandalf some food, and Gandalf's like, no, but like Bilbo's just eating. He's just eating. It's just what's going. Do you mind if I do? That's what he said.
Right. Oh, and then Gandalf's line, this like, just tea, please.
Yeah.
We saw that on someone who does ceramics put it like on a ceramic mug, and I was like, I have to buy this, but it was sold out. Of course.
Oh, it's so perfect. Oh,
just tea, please.
Oh, that's we've been talking for quite a while, and at some point we have to cut off our Lord of the Rings conversation, but we may need a whole Gandalf episode of why we find Lord of the Rings so comforting. I mean, Gandalf.
Yeah. Oh, this won't be the last time we talk about Lord of the Rings. I mean, I think it will be covering millennial pop culture, some new comforting things, and then just like a third of it will be Lord of the Rings content and or tangents, probably, right?
Welcome to our podcast.
Well, let's wrap it up for today's episode. I do have one last little segment that I have very creatively named Did You Know? Question mark. We'll come up with maybe something better than that, but I thought it'd be fun to end with a little fun fact or trivia. This one is for people who know a lot about Lord of the Rings. This probably isn't going to be like, I think I like Googled it and this was like the first thing that came up and I was like, that's really interesting.
Is this about Viggo Mortensen's broken toe?
No, but it's about Viggo Mortensen.
Okay, great. It's about the horse. It's about the horse. Sorry, I'm gonna shush.
Oh my god. Okay, so why don't you like start with those, because it's not either of those, but I think those are really fun.
Okay. Well, the toe one, I have to apologize in advance. This one is shared so much on the internet that like it has become a meme about how much it's shared. So we'll just do it very quickly. There's the scene where Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli. Oh my god, we haven't talked about Gimli yet. I love
He's my
Gimli.
favorite character.
How did we miss this? We'll have an entire season of this podcast where every episode is just a different member of the Fellowship.
We're probably gonna do a deep dive on each of them.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, I love Gimli.
That's so funny.
Okay. Anyway, they've just they're searching for the hobbits, and they just ran into Carl Urban, and they're like looking around where they burned all the orc bodies, and Viggo Mortensen kicks like a helmet really hard because he's really frustrated, and then he like cries out in anger and falls to the ground. Well, he cried out because he was in a lot of pain because he broke his toe. And I'm sorry, internet. There you go. I've shared that one. The horse one I don't have as many details on. He adopted, like he like bought one of the horses that he rode in Lord of the Rings. Like he loved it so much.
Viggo, so basically my like did you know is that it was really hard to cast someone as Aragorn, and he was not the first person cast. Like someone else was cast as Aragorn, who I do not know who it is. Stuart
Townsend. Look up a picture and you'll be like, there's no way.
No.
I just mean there's no way he could be.
Visually.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think, it's like nothing against him. I kind of read the internet has a lot to say about like why, and I'm like, nobody really knows except for like the people who were there, and like I don't really care. I just like I cannot imagine anyone besides Vigo doing it, and like the layers of commitment that man took to this role.
Yes.
Just everything. Perfection. Perfection.
Absolutely.
Ugh. Anyway,
love that one.
There's like a little bit more to it, but yeah, I should have probably come up with like a little bit more of a hooky fun fact. But I thought it was really interesting the other people that were almost cast as Aragorn. So it was Stuart Townsend who then I guess got fired, released. I don't know technically what happened. He did not continue, and then they got Vigo. But before Stuart was hired to play him, there was all this other action, like Vin Diesel, which we already somehow talked about, which was like, okay, I saw a video or a photo of Vin Diesel with hair and like looking a little bit more medieval, and I was like, okay, that helps, because I just think of Fast and Furious Vin Diesel, bald, muscle tee, like.
That's what he's in every movie I've ever seen him in. I've never seen him with hair.
Yeah, I don't know. I cannot see it. I guess he had a really good audition, and Peter Jackson was just like, that was really good, but like I just don't see you as Aragorn. Fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Others who were considered, I'm not sure if considered or offered, were Daniel Day-Lewis. Yeah. I don't know a lot of what he's in. I just think of There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
That was him, right? And
yeah.
I mean, visually,
he's a very good actor, but
yeah. I know. And then Russell Crowe. Wait. There's one more. Nicolas Cage.
I knew that one. I know. It would just be such a different movie.
I know. I think that Vigo was the most perfect casting, and I don't think they could have even understood how perfect it was. And like he just like became this amazing embodiment of Aragorn. But I do want to do like a quick little, apparently you know some of this already.
I'm sorry.
I want to do a quick little like, can you guess, or you'll just tell us who was potentially going to play, like which character were they potentially going to play?
Ooh.
Okay. So first is Liam Neeson.
Gandalf? I'm just guessing. I don't know this one.
Okay. Boromir.
Okay, that would have been terrible.
Yeah, that would have been tough. Okay, this one really floored me. It was very close to happening. I think Sean Connery.
Oh, that was Gandalf. That was Gandalf. Also, can you imagine? Terrible.
Oh, that would have been just really. Okay, I think like a lot of these names also are people who are really big stars. Then, like for instance, like Orlando Bloom was not a huge star.
No, not
at the time. So I think there was something also to like having these stars where no one like really was distracting.
Yeah,
I think when there's a mega superstar, it can be kind of all about them, and it just like shapes the experience. Whereas a lot of these just were like, it was so pure. Anyway,
it was.
Okay, I've got a couple more.
Okay,
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, Legolas.
Frodo. Okay, two more.
Okay,
this one maybe is obvious. David Bowie.
Saruman.
That would have been cool, but Elrond.
Oh, okay. I could actually see it, but you're right. Like that would have been distracting.
Yeah. And then the last one is James Corden. Do you know who that is?
I
don't even know if I said his name right.
Sam?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I think in conclusion, somehow, and there are many, many others, obviously.
Yeah.
And like many others floating around on the internet, but the casting, brava.
So well done. So well
good.
Done.
So good.
Speaking of trivia, they get along like off the set so well. It's so cute. Like the four hobbits still get together all the time. Merry and Pippin have like not a cooking show maybe, but like an eating show.
I love that. I feel like I kind of knew about that, but I have not seen it, and we
But
maybe
they
need
like
to watch
hang
now.
out all the time. Like a bunch of them, I think all but one of them have like matching tattoos. All but one of the fellowship have matching tattoos. Like it's like all really heartwarming. I love
Yeah,
it.
I love it. I love it. Well, we will definitely be chatting about Lord of the Rings again many times,
Safe to
but
say.
we got to wrap this one up for now. So, with that, I'm Ashley,
I'm Sarah.
and that was Comfort Culture. See you next time.